All right, guys, don't freak out. I know this looks like a lot of Japanese characters on the screen, and you're probably like, what's going on? This is a lot of stuff. That's okay. We're going to go through each one, letter by letter, word by word, and we're going to be able to figure out every single thing down to every single participle, the reason why they're there, every conjugation. You're going to be a master by the time you finish this. You're going to understand it and be able to read it by yourself. That's my goal with this lesson today, so let's begin. Okay, right in front of us we have a passage from the Bible, Matthew 14, verses 13 through 21. And this is in the Shinkayaku, which is the most proliferate translation of the Bible in Japan. It's the one that's the standard one. So basically, this is real Japanese text from a real Japanese Bible that people in Japan really read. So this is as authentic as it gets. On top of that, I've decided to layer the writing from left to right, top to bottom, like to do in almost all Japanese books, because that is exactly how they write the books written in Japan. So again, this is going to be authentic Japanese, and this is authentic. The way it's written is authentic. So with that, let's begin. Right here, this is Matai, Matthew, no. This is the ownership participle, and Fukuinsho, which means the gospel. So the gospel of Matthew, chapter 14. And right before we do get into the nitty gritty, I just wanted to go ahead and tell you how I've organized this. The blue represents the participles, the particles of the sentences, all the particles in the sentences, and the red represents the verbs. The reason I've separated it like that is because it helps for your brain to kind of see how everything's kind of organized, so that way you don't get kind of overwhelmed, and you can break every piece of sentence down into like little, bite-sized chunks. Okay, so that's how we've organized it. We're going to go through one verse at a time. I'm going to highlight it as I go along, so we'll be able to go through all the verses in order. And so let's begin. All right, verse 13. Iesu, Jesus, wa, subject marker, kono koto. Kono means this, close to the speaker. Koto means thing. O, direct object marker, kikareru, which is to hear, to win. Okay? Now, let's talk about kikareru, okay? This is in the passive voice. This verb is conjugated to be the passive voice. All right, it's normally kiku. Right here, kiku. But when it's in the passive voice, as in, instead of hearing was heard, you conjugate it. Instead of the ku, you take off the u, you add the areru. So it becomes kikareru. Okay? So against the passive voice. So it means was heard. All right? However, usually when you have the passive voice, you usually have your direct object marker here be indirect object marker ga. Okay? So the reason we have a direct object marker with a passive verb is because we're using an honorific. Okay? Normally, you would never use a direct object marker with a passive voice, because again, that doesn't make any sense. How can you was hit ball, right? Of course. So that's why specifically you always use ga is to show the indirect object. But in this case, we're not using the passive voice to show passivity. We're using the passive voice to show honor. So since we're talking about Jesus here, or if we were talking about maybe a boss, or we're talking about the school principal, or something like that, we would use this honorific form to discuss their actions. Instead of saying they did something, we're basically saying they did something. I know that doesn't make too much sense to native English speakers, but again, it's a way of removing yourself from the honored person's actions. Instead of saying they did something, you're saying they did something. See, it's just a little distancing yourself from the speaker, from the person doing the action to show honor. Okay, so let's move on. Hune, which is boat. De, via. Soko, which means a place, but it means somewhere close to this, away from the speaker. That's what it's trying to say. O, direct object. Sari. Okay, that sari is the verb saru. Okay. Now, what happens is, in the middle of a sentence, sometimes you'll see a verb with the mas stem. So, sarimasu would mean to leave, and that's written in the mas from the polite form, okay? So it's basically sadu, but it's a polite way to say sadu. But in the middle of a sentence, now you wouldn't do this when you're actually speaking Japanese, no. But when you're reading Japanese, a lot of times the writers will just, in the middle of a sentence, instead of using the te form to show continuity, they'll just use the mas stem, so it'll be sari, right there. So basically this says right here, Jesus left there via boat, okay? And it's continuing the sentence. The sentence is not over there, right at that point, okay? So jibun dake de, okay? Jibun, himself, only ba, so by himself, only by himself. Sabishi means remote here. It means far away. It can also mean lonely, but at this point it means a remote area. Tokoro, place. Ni, to. Ikareta. Okay, there we have that passive voice again. So the way you normally say go is iku, but when we're talking about Jesus, we're saying ikareru. Take off the u, add the areru, and it becomes ikareru. Now, we also have to conjugate this further because it's not just the passive voice, it's the past version of the passive voice. So we have to say ikareta. Ta shows that it's the passive voice that happened in the past, okay? So, moving on. Suruto, that's the verb suru, to do, and that's the to, when. But this basically this is something, you just memorize this phrase. It just means thereupon, then. Gunshu, which means a group of people. Ga, the subject marker. Sore, that. To encapsulates the sore. Kite, okay. Kite is the verb for hear again. And when we do the te form of the verb, which means the continuity form of the verb, we take the ku and we take it into ati, and and it becomes kite. Okay, so it's continuity form of hear. Okay, so that means the people heard this, and then machi from towns, from, you could call that as from. Aruite, that's the te form of the verb aruku, which means to walk. And then you're going to conjugate it as aruite, which is again the ku goes to ati, and that becomes a continuing form of the word walk. Esu no ato, Jesus's possessive noun here, shows possessiveness. Ato, after. O, direct object. Ota. Okay, so this is a conjugated form of o, which is to follow. When we conjugate it in the past tense, it becomes ota. Okay, we take off the u and add the little z and add the ta. So now let's read this now that we know exactly what we're looking at here. Jesus, this thing, when he heard it, he departed via boat. By himself, he went to a far away place, a distant place. Thereupon, after that, people heard this from many different cities. They walked after Jesus. They went. They chased after Jesus. They went after Jesus. So, okay. So now that's the sentence. That's how easy it is. Basically, you just break these sentences down to little parts, bite-sized chunks, and you build it back up and understand the whole phrase. Okay? Great. So let's move on to the next one. Verse 14. Yesu, Jesus, wa, subject marker, hune, boat, kara, from, agarareru, to leave, to win. Okay? So let's go in to figure out what happened with this agarareru. Agaru is a verb when you're talking about boats and things. It means to disembark. Okay? But we're again talking about Jesus, so we're using the passive voice. So we turn that agaru into agarareru. We turn that do into areru. Okay? Okay, that's how it goes right there. Agarareru. Okay? So, the to means when. Okay? So when Jesus disembarked from the boat. Okay? Oku means many. No is a possessive particle. Gunshu, which is the multitude of people. O, it's direct object marker, and mi, it's the te form. It's the verb miru, which is to see, but it's the te form of the verb miru. Sometimes they'll just slice the te off. So again, te would mean strictly a way to show continuity in a sentence. This means this action is still continuing. There's more to go in the sentence. So here they just cut the te off right here, and it says me. So it just means he saw. So Jesus saw many different people. Okay. Karera, they, direct object marker, hukaku. And then this is an adverb of the form for hukai, which is adjective meaning deep. Hukaku is when you take off the I and add the ku, it becomes an adverb. So we're conjugating this into an adverb. It means very deep. Awarende. Okay, what is awarende? Awarende is the te form of the verb awaremu. Okay, which means to be moved by. Okay, so this is showing continuity again. So this means Jesus, which is the subject up here, was moved deeply by the people. Okay, that's what they're talking about there. Karera, they, no, ownership. Byoki, sick, so they're sick. Direct object marker. Iasarita, to heal. Okay, so iasu is the form of the verb, which means to heal. Iasareru is the passive voice, again showing honorific for Jesus, and that's saying that he healed. So this is iasareru. Okay, but again, it's conjugated with that last, instead of the ru, you take off the ru and add the ta, and that makes it past tense. Okay, so let's go through the sentence one more time. Jesus, when Jesus got off the boat, he saw many people. He was deeply moved by those people, and he healed their sick. That's it. See, that's very easy, guys. I'm telling you, it's just way easier than it looks. You gotta learn you gotta learn some tips and tricks. There's some tricks to this. There's some tips to make this a lot easier and a lot less painful. Like I said, you may not necessarily learn all this stuff from a textbook, but what I'm teaching you right now hopefully will carry you through so you can read on your own. I hope that's my goal. All right, so let's go into the next verse. Verse 15. Yugata ni. Yugata meaning evening. Ni means to, at, evening. Nata, node. Nata is the verb form of past form of naru, which means to become. And when you conjugate that to the past form, it becomes nata. Okay, so when it became evening, and this means node because. So because when it became late, because it became late, that's what that means. Desh, which means the disciples. Tachi means a group of them. Desh tachi wa, subject marker. Yes, Jesus. No, that means his possessive. Tokoro, place. Ni, to. Kite, itta. Okay, so kite is from the verb kuru, which means to come, but it is the pay form, which is a continuation form of it, and then itta is the past form of iu, which is to talk. So when you conjugate itta from the past tense, it becomes itta. Okay, so what that means is they came to Jesus' place and they talked with him. And they're quoting him here, as this is a quote. This is a parentheses in Japanese. Koko, here, wa, subject marker. Sabishi, desolate, far away place, far away. Tokoro, place. Des is she. She meaning here because. But she specifically here means there are more reasons than this one reason. So that doesn't mean that this is the only reason. This just means one of the examples of the reasons why something is. So you would use she here as, again, one of the multitude of examples. You may not list all the examples, but you'll say because of this and because of this and other things. That's basically what it means. And other things. Chikoku, tam, mo. This right here, mo, it's emphatic, okay? You don't have to use mo here. You could use o, but you're using mo because you're emphatic. Sometimes in Japanese they use mo to kind of make it emphatic. Mo, mo, which means already. Mawatteimasu. Okay, mawatteimasu. Right, they're using the very polite form of the mas forms. Okay, so mawaru in this instance means for the time to pass. Mawatte te iru would mean it's the te form of the verb with an iru on the end, which means it's the very present form of the verb. It's equivalent to this. If this was run, this would be is running. Okay. So this means past time passing. This means is passing. Okay. So what this means specifically right here is because time's already passing, because it's already gotten later. It's already gotten late. That's what he's basically saying right there. So des kara, because of this being so. Okay. Because of this being so is because of this being so. Gunshu, people. O, direct object marker. Kaisan, separate. Sasete kudasai. Okay. Saseru is conjugated form of the verb suru. So when you have saseru, you basically mean it's going to be you're allowing somebody to do something or you're forcing somebody to do something. But in this instance, they kind of would mean the same thing. And it's the te form of this verb, so it becomes, instead of saseru, it becomes sasete. And then the kudasai at the end means please. Okay? So please, so anyway, this means please allow them or force them to separate. Okay? That's what that means. Soshite, then, mura, village, ni, to, itte, which is the te form of the verb. Iku, we already went over iku. So I'm just going to go through and show you one more time how that works. Itte, mei de. Okay, now there's a lot of these in Japanese. They're going to be these double sounds that are going to be repeated, and they're often capitalized by a te or a de at the end, and basically they just help explain a verb, explain some kind of verb. You add a little, flavoring to the sentence. Okay, so mei would mean by themselves. Distinctly among each other. So basically they're going to go do things distinctly from each other. They're going to go by themselves and separate. Mei de, by themselves. Shokomotsu, which is food. O, direct object marker. Kau, which is to buy. Yoni, in order to. Sasete kudasai, the same sasete kudasai. Okay, now, so sasete kudasai meaning please allow them in order to buy food by themselves, and then they'll go into the village. Okay, so this verse makes sense when we read it all together as one little part. I've explained all the pieces now. Let's read it together. Because it became late in the evening, the disciples went to Jesus, where Jesus was, and talked with him. This place is a very remote place. Because of this being one of the reasons it's a remote place, and also it's become fairly late. So it's become late, and it's also a fairly remote place. Because of these things, because of that, please allow the people to separate. Therefore, they will go to the villages separately and get food. Please allow them to be able to do this in order to get food and go to the villages. So he's just saying, please separate them in order to allow them to be able to buy food separately. So as you can see, this sentence right here, these two sentences don't make sense together until you see the des kara. So we're saying, this is a really lonely place. This is explaining she, again, because this is a very lonely place, and because the time is already late. That doesn't make any sense together, does it? Not very much. No, but it makes sense when you look at this next part. Because it's a lonely place, and because it's already late, because of those things, we should separate these people. And if we separate them, they'll be able to go buy food separately if we do that. So in order to allow them, in order to allow them to buy food separately and go to the villages and buy food separately, please separate them. Please tell them to disperse, because it is now, because this is a very lonely place, a remote place, and because it's already gotten pretty late. That's how you read Japanese. A lot of Japanese is referential. It's not going to make sense if you just try to read one sentence. The sentence is self-reference. That's a really important thing in Japanese. Sometimes the sentence cannot make sense upon itself. You must continue reading, and that's one thing you can't get so focused on just one part. Like, I don't understand the sentence. Well, that's not all there is to it. You've got to understand all the sentences around it, because they'll help inform that. There's a lot of understood things in Japanese. You have to that's how you approach this. You can't just say, okay, I'm just going to read this one sentence. You've got to read the whole paragraph, and maybe sometimes two paragraphs, understand what's going on. I think English is a little bit less nebulous, but definitely in Japanese, don't get so focused on one sentence, one word, one thing, because sometimes it cannot make sense until you've read the whole thing. So now when we look at it all together, it makes perfect sense. Okay? Let's go on to the next one. Verse 16. However, shikashi, however, yes, Jesus, wa, subject marker, iwareta, same things before, the same passive voice. You normally would say iu for taught, but here we're talking about Jesus, so we say iwareru, passive voice. And we're using the top form, which is the past tense. So, Jesus spoke. Karera, they, those people. Ga, subject marker. Dekakete iku. Dekakeru is the form of that verb. It's the basic form of the verb. But here we're doing the kakete, the te form of the verb, the continuing form of the verb. So it means to leave and go. Iku. Hitsuyo, need. Wa shows contrast. Arimasen. Arimasen is the form for aru, to be. It's the nice form of aru, which is the arima with the mas form, but it's the negative form of the arimas form of verb. So of the aru verb. So it's arimasen. It's the negative form of the polite verb. So not to be. So there will be no need for them to depart and go. For them to depart and go is what Jesus said. There's no need for them. Anata, gata. Anata is you. Gata means the group of you. So basically you guys. De, amongst yourselves. Amongst you guys. Ano hitotachi. Ano means over there. Means away from both of the speakers. Both of the people who they're talking to. Away from the person who's talking, away from the person who's being talked to. Over that way. Ano hitotachi. Hito means person. Tachi means group of people. Hitotachi ni to. Nanika something. Taveru eat. Mono food item. O direct object marker. Agenasai. Agenasai. Okay, now this is awesome right here. Ageru in this form means to give. To give. Okay? It's an honorific way to say to give. Okay, it's an honorific way to say to give. However, when someone who's in a very high, like maybe say a boss, or again, Jesus in this case, would speak to his underlings, he would use nasai, which you conjugate like this. You take the mas form and then you add the nasai there. Okay. Now what that does is it means please do something. Okay, but it's a way of talking to your underlings. It's maybe you could say that to your kid or something, right? So again, nasai, please give. Okay. So let's read this verse together. However, Jesus said, them leaving and going, there's no need for that. You amongst yourselves, to those people, some food, please give food to those people. Okay, great, easy. All right, let's move on to the next sentence. Okay, verse 17. Shikashi, however, desh, which is disciples, tachi, group of disciples, wa, subject marker, yesu, Jesus, ni, to, ita, which is the past form of iu. Again, I think we've already discussed this in this. Again, that's the past conjugation of iu, which is the top. Koko means here. Niwa means is regarding this place. Regarding this place. Pan, bread. Ga, subject marker. Itsuzu. So this is a counter. Sometimes in Japanese, there are many different types of counters for different things. For fish, there are different counters. Okay. For bread, that's different. Well, not specifically bread, but anyway, for different types of things, round things, square things, there are different counters, and you have to memorize how they're counted. But anyway, basically, this means 5 things. This is the most generic form of the counting, which means 5 things. Itsuzu. So pan, bread, ga, itsuzu. So there's 5 pieces of bread, and sakana, which is fish, ga, this is another subject marker. Niki, 2 hiki. That's a counter for fish. That's right. That's a counter for fish. You can't use the same counter for fish as bread, okay? I didn't make this up myself. Yori, hoka arimasen. Okay? Yori means more than this. Hoka, others, there's not others. So arimasen would be, again, the negative form of arimasu. So there's not, that doesn't exist. There's more than these 5 pieces of bread and the fish, there does not exist. So let's do the whole sentence together. However, the disciples talked to Jesus. In this place, there's only 5 pieces of bread and 2 fish, and that's it. Okay, so let's go to the next one. All right, verse 18. Suruto, then, Yesu, Jesus, wa, subject marker, iwareta. Same thing as before. It's iu. We conjugate it into iwareru because it means past tense, and ta means iwareru is passive voice, and ta means past tense. So he said. It's because it's, remember, honorific. Sore o. Sore means that. Direct object marker. Koko ni, here. Koko means here. Ni, to. Motte kinasai. Okay. Motsu means to hold. Okay. And motte. Okay, it's like that's the wrong one. Motte is the te form of motsu, which is to hold. So it's the te form, which means continuing, you're holding. And kinasai. Again, we talked about this earlier. When you have a verb and you're giving directions into underlings, you add the nasai part. So we're adding kimasten, taking out the mas, adding nasai, and now it becomes kinasai. It means come. It's a command to your underlings, remember. Okay, so let's read this sentence in its entirety and it'll make more sense. Thereupon, then, Jesus said, those things, which he's referencing those, meaning the 5 pieces of bread and the 2 fish, to here, take it and bring it. Okay? Easy, right? Easy. No problem. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay, let's do this. Verse 19. Soshite, then, yes, Jesus, wa, subject marker. Gunshu, group of people. Ni, 2. Meijite. Meijite is it's a te form of the verb meijiru. Meijiru means the command. Meijite is a te form of command. So he commanded something, he's keeping going. The sentence is continuing. Kusa, which means grass. No. Possessive marker. Ue, above. Ni, at. Suwarase. Okay, suwarase is from the verb suwaru, which means to sit, but it's a commanding form of the verb. So we take off the ru and add the raseru, which means I'm forcing you, I'm telling you, you must sit. It's being forced. You must sit. So suwarasete is the te form of the verb, okay, of this suwaraseru, but we take the te off because it's in the middle of the sentence, and Japanese people can just do that. So that's how it means. So these people were made to sit above the grass, on top of the grass. See? They were made to sit on top of the grass. They were ordered and made to sit on top of the grass. Itsutsu, 5. No, possessive, pan, bread. 5 pieces of bread. And 5 loaves of bread, 5 pieces of bread, and nihiki, 2. Remember to counter for fish. 2, no, possessive. Sakana, which means fish. O, direct object marker. Tori, which we've talked about this before. Tori is conjugation of toru, which means to take. Okay, but here we're conjugating to the mas form, torimas, and we're cutting off the mas. So again, it's like a te form, we're just continuing the sentence. Okay, so taking the fish, 10, heaven, o, direct object marker, miagete. Okay, so this is a little complicated here in a way. So this is the verb miru. Okay, but we take the when you conjugate the verb miru with the mas form, the polite form, you go mi mas. Okay, now we're going to take the mas stem off, and we're going to get ageru. It means to raise. So we're combining the word that mas stem of mi, which is to see, and ageru, which is to raise. So we're going to raise up and see, and it's a combination of the verb. It's not, sometimes you can just Google these, but it's good to know the root form why this is happening. So to raise up and see at the same time. Okay? Sorera, them, o, direct object marker, shukuku, blessing, she here means is the form of shite, which is from the verb suru, which is to do, and we're just saying she instead. We're cutting off the te, and we're just going to leave it she. So he did that. He blessed it. So he blessed the 2 fish and the 5 pieces of bread. Pan, bread. O, direct object marker. Saite, which is from the verb saku. Might be hard to find. There it is. Saku, which means to cut or to split. And we're instead of doing that, we are actually making the te form. It means continuing action. So he split the bread. Sore, which means the bread. That thing. That. O, direct object marker. Deshi, tachi, the group of disciples. Ni, 2. Atairareta, node. Atairareta is to give, and node is because. Okay? Atairareru is the rareru form of atairu. Okay, so atairu is to give. Atairareru is it's a nice, it's a polite way to say give. Atairareru is the passive tense of the word to give, because again we're using the honorifics, and we're taking the ru off and adding the ta, and that is atairareta, which means he gave, and node because he gave them to his disciples. Deshtachi, disciples. Wa, subject marker. Gunshu means to the people. Ni, to. Kubota. Okay? Oh, kubata. Sorry. Kubata. Kubaru means to give, disperse. And we're using the past tense of kubaru to make it kubata. In past tense, that means dispersed. Okay, so now let's read the sentence. Then Jesus to the people he ordered above the grass, ordered to sit, or they were ordered to sit above the grass. 5 pieces of bread and 2 fish he took. He looked up to heaven. He took those items. He blessed them. The bread, he broke the bread. And those pieces he gave to the disciples. Because he gave those pieces to the disciples, the disciples gave the pieces, dispersed the pieces to the crowd. Okay, so that's how you read it. That's really simple. I mean, I'm telling you, it's a lot simpler than you think. But I want to make one slight comment here, which is about the sorera. Sometimes when you're reading Japanese, you've got to understand, you've got to keep track of all that's going on in sentences and a couple sentences, because these words like sorera, you have to keep track of exactly what they're referencing here. They're referencing the food here, okay? But you have to understand, again, the sore could mean people, it could mean anything else, but again, sore here means the food, okay? This means the bread, okay? Okay, but again, you got to keep track of what the sorera and sore and all that. You got to keep track of what's going on in the sentences. Again, this is why you don't want to take one sentence out of context. You want to be able to read a few sentences deep, at least get your mind wrapped around some of the eccentricities of some of the sentences. All right, verse number 20. Hitobitu means the people. Wa, subject marker. Minna, all. Tabete, which is the te form of taberu. Taberu is to eat. Taberu is to eat. Tabete is the te form of the verb. So again, we're continuing. So all the people ate. Manpuku, they got full. And shita means to do. So shita is the verb sudu. It's the past conjugation of the verb sudu. So it's shita. You have to memorize that one because that's an irregular verb. But anyway, it means did. So they did get full from eating. Okay. Soshite, thereupon, then, pankire, it's a pieces of bread, knows ownership. Amari, which mean the remaining. So the remaining pieces of the bread. O, direct object marker. Tori atsumeru to. Tori atsumeru is to take and gather. To, it means win. Okay. So let's talk about how we got there with tori atsumeru. So toru is to take. We talked about that. Torimas, it means to take. It's polite form, the mas form. We're going to take that mas form off, and then we're going to go atsumeru, which means to gather. So it means to take and to gather. Okay? To means win. Okay? Juni, 12. No, means possessive. Kago, baskets. Ni, 2. Ippai, very full. Atta, which is the past form of the verb. Aru, to be. So atta means is the passive aru, which is to be. So it was. Okay, so now let's go through this sentence in its entirety. Okay. The people, all the people, ate and were full. They were full. Therefore, the pieces of the bread, all the remaining pieces of the bread, they took and gathered together. When they did that, 12 baskets they filled. They filled 12 baskets. Okay, great. Easy. All right, so let's go on the next one. All right, verse 21, the last one. Tabeta, which is the verb when we talked about, it's past tense of the form tabedu. Past tense. Tabeta, mono. People, it means people here. People. So tabeta, mono, people who ate. Wa, subject marker. Onna, women. And. To. Kodomo, children. Mo, also. So women and children. O, direct object marker. Nozoi de. Okay, that means excluding. Nozoku means to exclude. Okay, the te form of nozoku is nozoi te. Okay? Well, actually, yeah, there we go. So, nozoi te. So that would mean to exclude. Okay? Te form, continuing excluding. Otoko means man. Gosen ni means 5,000 people. 5,000 men. Hodo, that means that much. To the extent of 5,000 men. De atta. Okay, de aru is a very polite way of saying is. Instead of iru, which means is, it's a very polite way to say is. For when you're referencing people where they exist. And here we're doing the past tense, so it's de atta. Okay, so let's read this sentence. It says, so for the people who had eaten, excluding the women and children, men, 5,000 men, to the extent of 5,000 men, there were 5,000 men besides women and children, the people who ate. Okay, awesome. All right, guys, we've read it all. That was really easy, wasn't it? I mean, it really is easy. Look, you see all these texts, all these characters, and you know what? You nailed it. You know every single character. You know what every single particle means. You know every single verb conjugation. It's easy when you start dissecting it like this. You can do this. I can do this. You can do this. I'm very, very sure of that. Okay. If you're here in this video and you've gotten to this point, I'm sure you can handle this. I'm sure you can. So, I'm gonna keep trying to make these videos. If you like the video, please like it. If you have any comments, please feel free to give them in the section below. But thank you guys. I hope to see you again soon. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you again. All right, bye.